Good morning, brand DIYers. It is Mark here. How are you? Let me just get my head in the whole screen here. There we go. Good morning. It is a beautiful Friday morning here. I hope you're having a great day. I had an interesting topic on Wednesday. We were talking about brand names and how to create a great brand name and why so many names today suck. Now, that is half the story. And so I decided today to finish the other half of the story. On Wednesday, what we talked about was if you feel like you've outgrown your brand name and you want a new brand and you're willing to make that huge, very scary jump to abandon your old brand name and start from scratch, here's how you do it. So if you want to hear about that, just go back to Wednesday's discussion and check that out, or dial me up. I'm happy to talk to you about it. However, about 90% of us have brand names that suck, but we can't change them because they're on the letterhead, we're legally registered as that company, or it's just too much of a pain in the butt to go and start from scratch and get a whole new brand name. So the pain of changing your name overcomes the benefit of getting a new name. What do you do? Are you screwed? Well, I'm just looking here. Some of the names that I mentioned in our last show when we were talking about names like Agilent, Agilis, Agilon, Agere, Advantix, Advantis, Adventis, Advanta, Actuant, Equant, Guidant, Reliant, Prodigy, Certigy, Centigy, Tality, etc. etc., 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 etc. It goes on and on. The world is flooded in crap brand names. So what do you do if, like the majority of us, you are saddled with a crap brand name? Fear not, all hope is not lost. Let me tell you about modifiers. Tell you a little story. Your name is Bob. All right? Hi, Bob. Not a very remarkable name. Kind of an ordinary name. You could be any kind of person if you're Bob. But if suddenly you call yourself Bob the Builder, what happens? You get yourself a $1 billion kids show empire. You are hot potatoes now, Bob. Not only do you get all the talking tools that are working for you, but you also get Wendy, who comes and hangs out at your job site all the time. You're the business, Bob. Bob the Builder. Kids show, wonderful modifier for a name, Bob. Now, that's just a fun example, but it's not far from the truth. Hank Aaron, famous baseball player, just died today, 86 years old. God rest his soul. Now, I tell you Hank. You go, Hank. I tell you Hank Aaron. You go, oh, great baseball player. How come? I don't know. I tell you Hank the Hammer. What do you think? Hank the Hammer. Well, then I tell you, well, yeah, he broke Babe Ruth's home run or hitting record, or home run record, rather. No, Babe Ruth's batting record, rather. And he held that record until 2007, for 30 years, until Barry the doping needle Bonds took it away from him. Now, the doping needle, that wasn't Barry Bonds' nickname, but it should have been. I don't think he should have got the record. Hank the Hammer, that was a real nickname. It's a wonderful name modifier because suddenly you know what Hank is famous for, even though Hank is a very ordinary name. And if you're not a baseball fan, you go Hank Aaron, and you go, oh, famous baseball player. How come? Because he's the Hammer. Now, I defy you to forget Hank the Hammer today. That is the power of a great name modifier. If you use a creative name modifier, it's not a tagline. It describes what the person does best. Bob the Builder, Hank the Hammer. You will not forget Hank the Hammer today. In fact, if I say Hank the Hammer, 714 hits or home runs or whatever. His record was 714, I think, home runs. And he beat Babe Ruth with that. You will not forget the number 714 today because now I've implanted that in your brain with Hank the Hammer. Now, it goes further. Bill. Bill or William. That's kind of a so what name. Prince William. Duke of Cambridge. Changes everything, doesn't it? You know exactly who William or Bill is now. You know what surrounds him, what sort of a person he is. Describes Bill or William perfectly. Now, none of the names that I have mentioned so far, Bob, Hank, Bill, William, are remarkable. But when you add a modifier, something happens. Not only do you get clarity on who that person is, but you can position them in your brain. And remember what I've said again and again and again. Building a successful brand is about successful positioning. And that is carving out a place in your audience's brain where you can plant a stake and say, I am here. This is what I stand for. You can't get rid of me. You won't get rid of Hank Aaron in your brain because now he's Hank the Hammer. He's not going anywhere. I can guarantee you that. Now, name modifiers, I started with people because I think it just makes a whole ton of sense. It's real simple. It's a real brand DIY kind of thing to do. But it works extremely well for brands as well. And like I was saying, there's all these names: Agilent, Agilus, Agilon, Agere, Advantix, Advantis, Adventis. God only knows. You could add one word or two words to all those horrible names and suddenly they would be less horrible. My favorite example of a name modifier for a brand, Boeing 747. Now today, after 40, 50 years in the market, Boeing 747 is a pretty well-established entity. Everybody knows what a Boeing 747 is famous for. But when the Boeing 747 first came out, there was nothing like it in the world. So, what is it? The fastest Boeing? The most luxurious Boeing? The quietest Boeing? What Boeing is it? It was only when they added the modifier jumbo jet that everybody understood what the 747 really was. I want to buy a real big plane. Does anybody know what I should get? Get a Boeing 747 jumbo jet. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'll go buy one of those. Now, I want to put a pin in Boeing 747 jumbo jet for a second, move on to some other name modifiers, but I want to put a pin in it because I believe that a proper name modifier can do much more than simply describe what the product is. And it's in that magic word, jumbo. All right, back to that in a minute. Let's get back to more fundamental brass tacks kind of brand name modifiers. If you typed in up until 2016, if you were looking for a Tesla car and you typed in tesla.com, you would have been led to a parked, pardon the pun, a parked website. Tesla didn't own tesla.com. However, if you typed in teslamotors.com, you would have gone to the Tesla website. Why? Well, it seems obvious what a Tesla is, right? I mean, Tesla is the world's leading electric car. It's a revolutionary company. Everybody knows about Tesla. Yeah, that's only been for a short while. Back a short time ago, everybody did not know what a Tesla was. Tesla was the Tesla coil, a funky electric device that somebody named Tesla invented. What the heck is a Tesla? If I would have asked you that question in 2005 or 2010, you still might have gone, I don't know. You know, it wasn't such a big thing. It was only in the last few years that Tesla became the Tesla, and you could type in tesla.com and get to the right place. Elon Musk was no dummy. He called it Tesla Motors, gave it that modifier so that it would be easier to find. There's just one example of using one or two short words to classify what your product is. There's a lot of examples of it. Swell is a company that makes bottles. So you go to swellbottle.com. Alley is a company that invites people to find local services. They use youralley.com. Edge, a company that does home services like spraying for bugs and stuff like that, they use edgeservices.com. One simple word, one simple descriptor makes a world of difference. Now, could Edge Services still be better? Yeah, it could be Edge Pest Services, could be Edge Home Services, but Edge Services is already way better than edge.com. Plus, of course, you're never going to get edge.com. It's been taken 50 years ago. So now you've got Agilent, Aquilent, you've got one of those names. You got a name that nobody knows what the heck you do. How do you create a proper modifier for your name? Easy. Ask your customers. I keep going back to this again and again and again. Your customers will give you every answer in branding that you need. You just have to ask them and listen hard. Ask your customers a very simple question. What do I do best? You service TVs. Oh, Marc's TV service. That works instead of calling myself Marc's, which is the name of my company, for example. Marc's perfume sales. Instead of calling myself Marc's, which is the name of my company, on my website, it's Marc's Perfume Sales. Not that hard. Now, if you're averse to asking customers, which you should not be, you should be asking customers because they will give you the right answer. But if you want to do a little bit of snooping online, there's plenty of ways to do that too. I have a lot of fun sometimes when I look for brand names for my clients when I go into GoDaddy. And you type in a name or their name, and you find out what sort of words they position with that name. It can be very surprising. Or you can go type in right now into Google, type in creative domain name modifiers or domain name modifiers. And you will find lists of modifiers, some useless, some extremely useful. Things like system, school, setup, society, think tank, teacher, tutor, etc., etc., etc. So you will probably get some sparks, some light bulbs that happen when you say, my name is Bob. You know, what am I going to call myself? Bob's School System, Bob's Think Tank Society. You can use all of these words and put them in. The point is you try to clarify. Now, remember I said let's put a pin in Boeing 747 jumbo jet? If you really, really want to nail your modifier, you use a modifier that not only describes what you do best, but you give it a twist, a creative twist. Jumbo jet is amazing not only because it describes perfectly what Boeing 747 is, but it uses a fun word, jumbo, large elephant, oversized. One of those words that is hard to forget. Hank the Hammer Aaron. It's hard to forget that word. There's a lot of other examples out there. Hall's mentholyptus. Hall's throat lozenges, that's the name. Mentholyptus is the unforgettable modifier. And my absolute favorite in the world, because the company hated it when it came out, the Volkswagen KFW, Kraftfahrwagen, that means power drive vehicle. When it came to North America first, it was called the Volkswagen KFW. Do you know what that car became? The Bug, the Beetle. Do you know why it became the Beetle? Because consumers walked into the showroom, especially female consumers, and they say, oh, it looks like a cute little bug. And the salespeople hated it. They didn't want their car to be called a bug. Who would? But the name stuck and it became a term of endearment. So when you said, I got a Volkswagen Bug, you go, not only do I know what type of car you got, but I know what it looks like and probably even what kind of a person you are. So back to the beginning. You have a brand name that sucks. Most of us do. Don't despair. add a modifier. I've given you some tips on how to add a modifier. I would love your feedback and your progress reports on how you've done adding a modifier to your name. I hope you have a terrific weekend. I hope this session has been helpful. And next week we got some very cool guests again coming aboard. I'll give you a hint with one of them is Jill Earthy, and she runs the Women's Enterprise Center in Vancouver. If you are a woman entrepreneur, you definitely want to dial in next Tuesday for that session. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.